July 21st, 2025. I told you about earlier today. You know that idiot in my old apartment? Agent John, you need to arrest his dumbass, saying how he was in that office with you when they were scamming you. And that where the church is sending out emails asking people to harm you. They were there from the beginning. They knew the whole thing was a scam. From where the dirty doctor from before is not one of mine. He works for them and they had lied he was one of mine. Where they were in there scamming you. He's part of scamming you. Where he said his religious group answered the call of the email of the first ones when they asked people to harm me and to show up and harass me. They were there from the beginning. His religious group is a domestic terrorism group. Domestic terrorism is a group of people to further their own beliefs with political or religious backings with threats or harm to human life. Like they said, they already knew this was a domestic terrorism group. You don't hurt people unless you're a terrorist. Break in, drug them up, tell them to say stuff, have them beaten, raped. That's terrorism. When people would start open their eyes and stop falling for fucking shit from drug dealers, even a year ago in like March or April, out in Belden, outside Chili's restaurant, the investigators were saying, we have it set up that law enforcement can hear her in her car no matter where she's at. She ever moves away, we'll have to tell the local law enforcement the drug cartel's running scams on people. Where Officer Mark told the lady in August of 23 on a Tuesday between noon and 1 that it was a drug cartel in my home before. That guy's in it with a drug cartel, running drug scams. That attorney's office is messed up in the drug cartel. That's where the North Canton Jackson police, we all know nobody drugs anybody but the drug cartel, Karen. It was a drug cartel in your home before, where he said he was there from the beginning, where they asked people to harm me. He runs around telling people they ought to be afraid. He tells people he has my medical records. Well, if he actually had them, why hasn't the police arrested him? Stealing documents from a hospital is a 10-year federal sentence. Why haven't you put him in jail? It's right on Google. If a doctor looks up your medical records without your signed consent, is it a 10-year federal prison sentence? It's stealing documents. So my question, if a doctor speaks about you without your consent, it's a 10-year federal sentence and $1 million fine, and you can sue them. See, you ever notice they don't say anything and address this directly to me? They do it around me. You know why? Because like they said, they have done so many bad federal crimes. They can never legally say a word to her. No doctor that is not yours, that they said it was a guy from that attorney's office down in that gas station, said that guy we had pull our medical records, said not to say who he is because he could go to jail a long time. 10 years federal. You say you have him, it's 10 years federal. It's right on Google. Stealing documents from a hospital is a federal crime. These are federal crimes. See, they always say people aren't a believer. Well, I can look it up on Google and put it on Facebook. You know why they tell you not to believe? Because these are stupid. Where they said, look at all these idiot people helping out in this. It's because these people are idiots, low IQs. They hand them a few bucks here and there to keep quiet so they can get away with raping, drugging people, and scamming them. And these low-life idiots will take 5, 10, 20 bucks to shut up. It's that pathetic around here. You would have thought we're in a ghetto in a city. And where that they said that guy that we had pull our medical records, He said not to say a word. He could go to jail a long time. You can go to jail for having them. 10 years federal. It's Google. Learn to use it. See, that's where what are they going to say to me? Where the guy said, I didn't know Karen was a victim of medical malpractice, fraud, and medication errors. That guy that pulled her records didn't tell us. He set you up big time. And that everything from my surgeries until 2002 is documented fraud, medical malpractice, and medication errors. And it's also documented Dave was letting his girlfriend use my insurance from 1984 to 2003. And that half my medical records are hers. So since everything's fraud, see where these people laughed in my face? They paid off a doctor from before to write up she was insane. Insanity is not curable. Your brain is damaged. It cannot be a doctor finding you insane. It has to be, now I already talked to an attorney. Okay? An actual attorney with a law degree. The only way you can be found insane is to stay in the state psychiatric hospital. They get a hold of the courts. The courts bring you in front of a judge. It takes a judge to find you insane. And that's where you get a guardian, social worker, and you're placed on disability. None of that ever happened. And I don't care if Dave's girlfriend went in and quacked like a duck and ate birdseed. She never stayed in a state hospital. And it takes a stay in a state psychiatric hospital only. They get a hold of a court system. The judge has to rule you insane. Until then, it's somebody's personal opinion. Just like brain tumors that weren't there. And they wanted to remove my pituitary gland. Thank God for my community health. They told me how big of liars those doctors were. They were known for lying, falsely diagnosing people, ripping them off, making them sick, and wanting to do unnecessary procedures, and sharing them with their associates and friends doing the same thing. Do you know a doctor did that last year? Got 50 years. FBI got him. If I would have turned them in 2002, they would have all still be in jail. I could have been a millionaire. If Strange wouldn't have pushed Danny to suicide, and it is documented in Stark County, through the Crisis Center and the Child and Adolescent Center, he's treated for post-traumatic syndrome, and he told all those social workers that Strange took him that day, wouldn't let him leave, starved him all day, screamed at him on the pulpit till he passed out, screamed at him till he did what he's told, and that's why he tried to kill himself twice, and he was in counseling for 2 years. Now, Now, do I think it's funny for me? Think about, how would you like to be me? Where they laughed that doctor from before was never one of hers. He works for them and they had lied and it's a scam. And where Dave said he hired some guy named Pete on his own. It was Pete and his men in my home, and Pete has her frame. Pete's the one that had her taped. The filthy, dirty statement. I've never met him or talked to him. You're talking about sexual predators preying on people in their homes, setting up button cameras, felony invasion of privacy, cyberstalking. These are federal crimes. There is revenge porn laws, federal laws against this. And then selling kitty porn and my grandkids going potty, let alone human trafficking laws of having me drugged, beaten, raped under drugs. Going to the doctor for all those injuries, I couldn't explain what happened to me. Drugged for fake confessions. They used to lie to people and told people they had sodium pentothal reports in this cocktail of drugs they're mixing. So Florida drug cartel started off. Kingsman from Texas joined in after the case started. FBI case, if you forget. Where that idiot in my old apartment, that Jack the Ripper rapist, where he said he was there from the beginning, he's part of selling kitty porn and my grandkids going potty. He's part of selling pornography of me. He's part of where he tells people that he had my medical records, then why haven't the cops arrested him? By federal law, they are to arrest him. Half my medical records are Dave's girlfriend's. And where these people have laughed, oh, they paid off doctors to write up she was insane before. Well, that's fraud. Insanity is not curable. Your brain is damaged. It takes a judge. in a competency hearing only. Stay in a state hospital. State hospital gets a hold of the court system. You have to have a competency hearing. A judge has to rule you and say, not a dirty doctor that you think you can pay off. And then half my medical records are Dave's girlfriend's. And everything before 2002, after my surgeries, is already documented fraud by several doctors. See, that's where on Friday night outside my client's apartment, there was guys talking. Law enforcement don't care if she carries a gun. It's already documented that all law enforcement knows all those doctors were wrote up as fraud. Medical malpractice and medication errors. See, that's where that guy a week ago on Monday was talking about that weird webpage. The person the world should make fun of. Why should you make fun of me for being a drugged up rape victim? Then all this crazy stuff it has on it. He said we all found out that when they say medication errors, it means fraud. See, they didn't say allergic reaction. They didn't say she had allergic reaction to those medicines. They said medication errors. It's a nice way of saying fraud without them taking responsibility. See, they didn't say allergic reactions. They said medication errors. That's where December 30th, 23, December 31st of 23, I'm in Altman Hospital with a client. And the nurses are talking. No one will ever say a word to her about those doctors from before. My God, they were all lying so bad. They said that she had brain tumors. They were, and everything that they wrote up was fraud. And they were just defrauding her. It wasn't medication making her sick. No one will back at people making up stuff and defrauding someone and making them sick and lying so bad that they said that she had brain tumors. And they were just ripping her off. No one would say a word. Guy walks by, I'm assigned to her at night. All those doctors were lying before, yes. It was a medication making her sick. Where Altman, or my community health center, told Officer Mark and the FBI agents the first 2 months of the case the same thing. That it's documented. And then proven, because I got well when I got off the medication, and they were causing all that massive body swelling, thyroid, adrenal gland shut down, seizures, heart attacks. And like an investigator said, I did research. And they think that church paid off those doctors to kill me. They were slowly poisoning her. And she was in the cardiac wards having heart attacks. There's no way they didn't know that medication wasn't killing her. And she was slowly being poisoned by the wrong meds. See, that's where they've said for years. It took another doctor to tell on them that they were known for lying, falsely diagnosing someone, and making them sick and ripping them off and wanting to do unnecessary procedures, and it was a mess of making her sick. With everything swelling down up and everything shutting down, there's no way they didn't know they weren't killing her. We're afraid that that church, with everything going on, paid those doctors off to kill her. And it took another doctor to tell on them where she'd been dead. See, that's where when the investigator said I did research, she was in the cardiac wards. She was having heart attacks. She did have all those symptoms. And there's no way they didn't know they weren't killing her. They were slowly poisoning her. See, they didn't say allergic reaction. They said medication errors. It's fraud. False diagnoses. They're known for doing that. I would have sued him or turned him into the state board, they'd still been in jail. Where that guy said, I didn't know Karen was a victim of medical malpractice and fraud and medication errors. See, they didn't say allergic reaction. See what I mean? Like they said, it means fraud. That guy in my old apartment over there, I seen him walk up to my neighbors again, over there running in his mouth. He told people he has my medical records. Where that guy said our office had that guy pull our medical records, that's a federal crime. So who else's medical records did they steal from the hospitals? Who released them since I didn't sign for him? I didn't sign for him to give it to him. I want you to start thinking about they're stealing documents from hospitals. That's a 10-year federal sentence. Huh? Like that guy said, he didn't tell us about the fraud and the medical malpractice and medication errors. Set you up big time, didn't he? Didn't know Dave's girlfriend was using her insurance either. Like the guy said out Friday night. No law enforcement would care if she carried a gun. We already knew about all this. And we already knew everything was fraud. They told me I had epilepsy, brain tumors, MS, you name it. And then they laugh at me. They paid them off to write up more fraud. You know, a doctor cannot just write that up. You write up something's not curable and somebody's brain's damaged and they're fine. That makes you liable. None of my doctors could ever talk to him without my consent. That's a 10-year sentence. See, that's where all these things they're saying they're doing are federal crimes. I find out who you are. And not your little devil imps that run around saying stuff. Little spawns of Satan like the guy in my old apartment that's demon-possessed and thinks it's funny scamming people and scamming that agent. And he thinks it's funny hurting people and exploiting them and trying to get them in trouble or steal money from them. He's a fucking retard. And a morbid son of a bitch. He was outside my apartment. Me and my husband walked out to our car and he's out there dancing like this. At me. Making faces. Like Carl said, he leers at you when you walk in. He stares at you. I pulled in today, he starts snickering. He thinks it's funny. You know what? And everybody in Louisville need to be scared to death. He lives there. Where he tells people they ought to be afraid of me. I've lived in this building for 6 years. Huh? He tells people, oh, that doctor has her tape. The one that's not mine but works for them and they lied. The drugs and told to say it. Dave said that it was just some guy named Pete that he hired on his own. And some guy named Pete did it. And it's some drug dealer from Florida. Where they were putting a spin on it that it was a doctor from before. And it was never a doctor. It was some drug dealer from Florida. Why haven't you arrested him? He's part of having people drugged for fake confessions, photoshopped and framed. Selling child pornography and my grandkids going potty. He tells people that they should be afraid of me and have me beat and raped under drugs so I don't know what happened to me. Never see or talk to anybody. And how would you like to be me? Huh? How would you like to be me? I look at you like you're all a bunch of crazy fools.